Shalom, shalom, and welcome to the channel. This is Rise of the Judges, a series focuses on things that are designed to take the sting out of judgment, out of the word judge, and the function of a judge. For in these processes for renewing and perfecting a set-apart family, those who seek to do the desire of the Almighty Yahuah, judgment is necessary. In this segment of Rise of the Judgments, I want to bring to your attention missing people. Missing people. You see, end times will prove there will be missing people in the days ahead. In some cases, it has begun. We will see it widely occur as intense times are magnified before us. Before I dive into it, I want to put up the slide to let people know when it comes to judging, there's a time to judge and a time not to judge. So I have the addresses here. You can pause the slide and look at them. It has Proverbs 31:9, Ezekiel 24, Matthew 7, verses 1 through 9, Luke 6:37, John 7:24, John 8:15 through 16, and 1 Corinthians 2:12 through 16. You see, there is a time to judge, and there's a time when not to judge. Let's get into this, missing people. It is time to begin having discussions regarding missing people during these last days. There are too many spreading a false sense of comfort and neglect to properly prepare Yashar'al for end-time realities. You see, missing people will not discriminate. It could be children, grandchildren, mothers, fathers, grandparents, or other so-called blood relatives, along with close friends and or brothers and sisters and set of partners. Cataclysmic conditions will come, my brothers and sisters. Intense times will come. Let's start talking about what do we do in the case of missing people. Do we still continue to earnestly pursue the will of the Almighty Father and discern His directions? Or do we get distracted and make that missing person our sole focus? Consider Matthew 5:43 through 45. Take a look. It says, "You heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those cursing you, do good to those hating you, and pray for those insulting you and persecuting you, so that you become sons of your Father in the heavens, because He make His sun rise on the wicked and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous." Love is doing what is best. And if you look at the love that Yahuah shows to His people, He have killed nations for His children's sake. He have saved individuals for His name's sake. He has done much for the wicked and the righteous. The rain comes down, for we never know the full matter unless we seek to discern from the Almighty Father. Consider Shaul. He was one who was our enemy, but converted. Consider even Peter. If for a moment he was called Satan for doing something outside of set apartness. My brothers and sisters, we all stumble and fall at some point. But we must not let missing people cause us to take our eyes off of the Almighty Father. With no excuses, we should focus on Him always. There are too many avoiding the realities of end times. They literally seek out scriptures that present a false sense of security, and at times ignore other passages that are critical to realities. My brothers and sisters, by submitting this false sense of security, this false sense of comfort, it causes many people to be lazy and not do what we should be doing, and that is growing to discern the voice of the Almighty Father, to recognize how He is directing and will direct our path. Remember, end times present the plan of the Almighty Yahuah, and that plan will not discriminate. It will not wait on one person or the other. It will and is being executed. We will face the most challenging of times. Begin considering final actions. Pray about, my brothers and sisters, who you should share your goals and what to expect when responding before or during chaos. You see, there are no guarantees of who will be close by and or who we gather with. Have the discussion, my brothers and sisters. Missing people. Missing people. It may very well be a loved one or someone you prefer to be with during such times as what's getting ready to unfold. Let's visit Ezekiel 39, 25, and 26, my brothers and sisters. Come with me. Ezekiel 39, 25, and 26, I'm reading from the eSword. It reads, Therefore thus said the Master Yahuah, now I am going to bring back the captives of Yaakov, and I shall have compassion on all the house of Yashar'al, and shall be jealous for my set-apart name. And they shall have borne their shame and all their trespass they committed against me, when they dwell safely in their own land with none to make them afraid. Does this describe a time of coming together, being gathered? Do you believe in that gathering that some will be left behind? And if those who are left behind, we don't see them, they would fall in the ranks of missing people. He goes on to say, when I have brought them back from the peoples and gathered them from out of the lands of their enemies, I shall be set apart in them before the eyes of many nations. And they shall know that I am Yahuah, the Almighty One. It says Elohim, but when I see that in the eSword, I pronounce it as the Almighty One, because Elohim is plural. It says Yahuah, the Almighty One, who sent them into exile among the nations, and then gathered them back to their own land and left none of them behind. And no longer do I hide my face from them, for I shall have poured out my spirit on the house of Yashar'al, declares Master Yahuah. Many people will share this verse, Ezekiel 39, 28, and say, see, none's left behind. Do you know we can face physical death? And that's not leaving us behind, because we would be in the bosom of Abraham. We would be resting. So don't have this false sense of security that everybody that's physically alive, that is set apart, all of us are going back to the promised land before the physical return, because some of us will go to the bosom of Abraham. And depending on how you look at that, that could be considered left behind. But I say to you, who knows where the bosom of Abraham lies? But it is in the hand, in the place designated by the Almighty Father. There are individuals who take Ezekiel 39, 28 and like passages to have us think no one will be left behind, making many people lazy, optimistic, overly optimistic. Teaching that no one will be left behind is a widely misconception. They will point to a scripture or more and tell you that's what the word says, not me. That is what is written. And if they're going to say what is written, read all, because what is written also talks about martyrs for Yahusha's name. It also speaks of people left behind and those led astray, and those blinded from unbelief. They ignore and neglect other passages of scriptures that inform us of the realities of what lies ahead. No one left behind, my brothers and sisters. If you consider the destruction and the death that will occur, I submit to you, there will be no one physically alive in many parts of the earth as man began to return back to the area where life began. And I did a series on that called The Closing Scroll. I invite you to look at it, listen to it, consider what is happening and what will happen. You see, my brothers and sisters, it's easy to keep a crowd if you just tell them what they want to hear or what makes them feel good. While many tend to get close to those pushing a false sense of comfort, they fail to focus on what's really ahead. Missing people will prove that we will face different situations and circumstances ahead, my brothers and sisters. Some of those circumstances will cause us to be scattered, divided, left behind, will cause missing people, searching, looking for loved ones. Consider Matthew 24:4-6. It reads, Yahushua answered and said to him, take heed that no one leads you astray. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah. And they shall lead many astray. I want to pause for a minute, my brothers and sisters. In some cases, this is not just the person saying, I am the Messiah, but this also applies to those who say the Messiah or Yahuwah told them, lying to people. They will lead many astray. There are so many people saying the Father told me, my Ruach told me, lying to people, having them think that the Almighty One has spoken to them. It goes on to say, and you shall begin to hear of fighting and reports of fighting. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet. Through these things that it is describing, people being led astray, could these be the ones that are missing? It goes on to say, for nation shall rise against nation and reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food and deadly diseases and earthquakes in places. My brothers and sisters, can these conditions cause missing people? A child, a brother or sister, a father or mother, a grandparent, another blood family member, or a set apart brother or sister? Could it cause conditions that will cause people to start scattering, seeking safety? You see, we don't know when that intense moment will come where we may not be able to find the one we had intended to be with during these end times. It goes on to say in Matthew 24:8-10, and all these are the beginning of birth pains. Then they shall deliver you up to afflictions and kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many shall stumble, and they shall deliver up one another, and shall hate one another. Could these people, could it be one of us delivered up? And in the midst, we find ourselves left behind among the missing people. He goes on to say, verse 11-13, and many false prophets shall rise up and lead many astray. And because of the increases in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. But he who have endured to the end shall be saved. My brothers and sisters, we must understand the realities of what lies ahead. Given what I just presented, that these scriptures lead anyone to think we all will make it to the promised land before the physical return of Yahushua? Let me point to the following things to consider. What I read included words like they shall lead many astray. Nation shall rise against nation and reign against reign. Deliver you up to affliction and kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. Do these words describe individuals that can become missing among the ranks of missing people? Do we think the conditions written in the scriptures in Matthew 24th chapter present some cataclysmic times, as with other end time prophecies written in the scriptures? Do we honestly believe that any one of these conditions will be held back for us or our loved ones? I'm not trying to promote unrighteous fear, but I do want to express righteous fear of the Almighty Yahuah. Righteous fear. So many people will say, I'm not afraid of anything, or want to dismiss fear. But consider Proverbs 1:7 that says, the fear of Yahuah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. It talks about a fear of Yahuah. Proverbs 3:7 says, do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahuah and turn away from evil. Proverbs 9:10 says the fear of Yahuah is the beginning of wisdom. And the knowledge of the set-apart one is understanding. You see, I believe, my brothers and sisters, fearing Yahuah brings about pause so we don't be over-anxious, over-eager. We seek to discern what he is saying, what he is making known, making clear to us. Proverbs 14:26 says, in the fear of Yahuah is strong trust, and his children have a place of refuge. Yes, if ever time we will seek refuge, it will be as end times become intense. It is my position that the fear of Yahuah, the fear of the Almighty Father Yahuah, brings a pause for us to avoid being overly anxious, overeager, and acting too quickly. Yashar'al. Those who sing the song of I'm not afraid of anything and don't be fearful, it would be wise to qualify those words. I strongly encourage each of us to begin having discussions dealing with missing people. This is a reality we must be prepared to face. Missing people will challenge our abilities to focus and move as ordered by the Spirit of Yahuah that comes in Yahusha's name. Challenges are ahead. Have those discussions. Be prepared to say that goodbye that may be your last. Ignoring realities will not stop what's coming. To those who truly believe, trust the guidance provided by Abba Yahuah. Inform your loved ones that you will seek to discern and understand what must and will come to be. This would be wise counsel to them. Let them know that you're going to pursue in the midst of chaos, in the midst of calamity, destruction, and death. You're going to pursue earnestly to do what Yahuah is telling you to do. Let us not put our trust in trying to find that lost one. Those who are motivated by Yahuah to find that missing person, that's a different story. But if we make that person the center of attraction, they may be headed in a direction that they could meet up with you. I'm not trying to scare you, nor am I trying to tell you to be cold and insensitive. But in all that is about to happen, we must be mindful of how to act during times of missing people. Yashar'al. I encourage each of us to face missing people with much prayer. Consider Proverbs 3:5-7. It says, trust in Yahuah with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. Know him in all your ways, and he makes all your paths straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahuah and turn away from evil. Take these words sincerely. Establish strategies when the time comes, my brothers and sisters, knowing what to do regarding missing people, and act expeditiously. Rise up, my brothers and sisters. O set apart family, and know, Matthew 16:25 reads, for whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake shall find it. Let us put the priority on worship and obedience, on living guidance from Abba Yahuah, and respond accordingly. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. Judgment will bring corrections and guidance for dealing with missing people, conditions, and experience will prove the need, O Yashar'al, for us to gird up, have a ready mind, and seek more than anything to discern what the Almighty Father has to say when it comes to missing people. Have the discussions, Yashar'al. If you listen to this from beginning to end, I salute you and thank you in your pursuit of set partners. There's more to come, so stay tuned. If you like what you're hearing, consider subscribing, share, like. Let's utilize the algorithms that YouTube provides so that we can get words that may help a brother, a sister, a family. May direct them to a channel where they may find some words that strengthen them that they present to you. Enough said. Thank you to you, my brother, my sister, my family. Shalom.